I'm starting out, well, I'm trying to start out this morning slowly. Slowly is not in my vocabulary though, so it's, everything I do fast because I need to do it fast to get a lot done. So I tend to trip over words whenever I go to read something to try to get it done quicker, and I don't give myself time to enjoy a book. The only book I give myself time to enjoy reading is the Bible. And that's because the Bible isn't just something you read to like intake, like you read it to transform your inner self, right? I just sound like Gandhi. You know what I mean? Like, you read the Bible, but you don't really read the Bible. The Bible isn't for entertainment, right? It's for so many other things. Versus something like this, it's for entertainment. And I tend to not grab for entertaining things like TV shows and movies and stuff, just because my attention span is like at a 0. And usually if I start it, I'm 15 minutes into it and then I can't do it no more. And it takes me 3 days to watch a hour-and-a-half long movie because I can't do it in one sitting. That's why Shane almost always refuses to watch a movie with me. He does it when I'm asleep. Above movies and TV shows and stuff, y'all know reading is what I do. It helps me with my vocabulary. I've mentioned that 1,000 times, and it really does. If you struggle with vocabulary and using the same words over and over, if you have like a TBI, like a traumatic brain injury or something, I know for me, reading really, really helps. So I do try to make time to read, but in the last month, I've read 65 pages of this. So yesterday, I got from page 65 to the second part, because there's a time skip in this book, 168. So I read 100 pages yesterday, and I did that off and on. I read a little bit in the morning because then I had to jump right on into chores and appointments, and then during an appointment I read a little bit, and then after the appointment I read a little bit, and then I read a majority of it before I fell asleep last night, and I made myself stay awake so I could get to that time skip in this book. So my brain is feeling refreshed and ready to go today. Like, I'm thinking of all the words, like vulnerable, that just came to my mind. Laparoscopic, that just came to my mind. I don't know what neither of those mean, but they came to my mind. If Merina starts sounding philosophical over here, we all know it's because she read last night. I struggle finding things to read because I like romance books, but I don't like rom-coms. I don't like romantic comedy books. I like books with like depth to them. So I struggle to find books that I can read because in my season of life, in my 30s, the genres that I like, it tends to have a lot of things in it that I just don't like to ingest, and that I try to get recommendations off TikTok, but TikTok recommends a whole different type of genre to romance readers, and I like clean romance books. I don't look down on people who don't like clean romance books. That is your prerogative. That's between you and God. But for me, I like clean romance books. So it's difficult for me to find books that I like that don't have that in it, and I don't have to skip over a bunch of parts with it. And I found that Kristen Hannah is one of my auto-buy authors now. I've read The Four Winds, I believe. It was a book that was based in the Great Depression, and oh my gosh, that's my all-time favorite book ever. It used to be a Christian author, Marie Lou Tyndall. My favorite book of all time used to be Escape to Paradise trilogy by her, favorite books. Now it is Four Winds by Kristen Hannah, and it's a book based in the Great Depression. You follow this single mom with kids, and she travels across the country, and it's wild. It is from Kristen Hannah. When she writes a book, she writes it from beginning to end. It don't stop. There's so many books of hers that I need to read, and I'm gonna like do this thing where I like try to read through most of them and kind of just give myself a break from the modern recommendations of like TikTok and stuff, because it's getting a little frustrating. This book is based in the 70s, and it's about this girl named Lenny, and her dad is like a vet, and he comes back from the war really, really struggling, and it's really, really messed him up. He can't hold down a job because of the things that he went through and how it's affected him mentally, and her mom kind of makes excuses for some really bad stuff that he does. Kind of find out he's a prisoner in war, and his best friend was also a prisoner of war, and he made it out, but his best friend didn't. A little while later, he finds out that his best friend that didn't make it out, he left him land up in Alaska. So they go into the backwoods of Alaska where the weather is treacherous. There are no, you know, like cities, nothing like that. It's like miles and miles and miles of back roads and woods to get to just a general store. Up there, you really got to depend on your neighbors, and you depend on those neighbors to help you get through the summer. And the summer is just preparing for the winter, because the winter you have like 6 hours of daylight and that's it. The weather is so bad that if you need something, you can't get out to get it. So you have to make sure you have it in the summertime. You have to make sure you prepare for it. Well, you can imagine what only 6 hours of daylight does to somebody who's already struggling mentally. It ends up making him worse, and it ends up becoming a very dangerous situation for Lenny and her mom. And they're not only fighting things on the outside like wildlife and the elements, but they're also fighting for their lives on the inside too. And it is wild. It's wild. I just got to a time skip. There's a 4-year time skip in the middle of the book, and I just got to it. So I've just read through the first half, which is in 1974, I believe. Yeah. And then we jumped to 1978, and it's insane. I messaged one of my friends, and I was like, I have to sleep, but I don't want to put it down. I tried to read a little bit this morning. I got a little bit done. Now I need to go in and start clearing the second living room and getting some of the stuff I bought for the next remodel set up, and trying to figure out how I want to do it, because I'm about to jump headfirst into another remodel, and I want that whole space cleared so I'm not working over stuff. And right now it's piled up, so I need to get all that clear so that I can go in and just focus on working and not focus on working around things. I don't want a bunch of stuff in my way, so we're gonna go and we're gonna clear out this second living room and kind of place stuff in a way where, I don't know, I'll show you guys what I'm thinking, and I'll tell you guys what I'm thinking. It's not gonna be set in stone because I still have a couple of days till I start the remodel, but I'll show you guys what I'm thinking right now. Ow! Oh, fish stick. Since we've been going slowly with the home remodel, this area, this side of the double wide, has become a catch-all for everything. The girl's best friend made them this, y'all. It's Binksy eating ice cream in heaven. I love it so much. But this area has become a complete catch-all. We did projects over here. Y'all saw me stain all the ceiling beams on the table over here. The poor pitiful table is going to undergo a makeover much later, but right now I am focusing on inside of the house. We focused outside of the house for far too long. We focused on all of that way too long. I'm going to focus on room by room inside the house to get it looking like a house and not just like we're squatting here. This table's not going anywhere though. We actually put it on the porch in this video. This table is super important because Shane and I created this together. We spent a lot of time on this table, and we knew what we were doing, but we didn't really know what we were doing. It was in that era where we were learning things. You know, we're still learning things, but we didn't know a whole lot. We know now because we've made a bunch of mistakes, and you learn from mistakes. That's the best way to learn, is to make a bunch of mistakes. But we know now what we didn't know then. So it kind of started separating and falling apart and stuff. So I used it as just a base to work on projects and stuff. And Shane and I both agree we're going to go back in and give it a good makeover and get it looking pretty, because this table's not going anywhere. It's sort of going to be like a family heirloom, I guess you could say. We made these benches and everything. If you were here back then, you've been here a while, because that was a little bit ago. But in order for it to be a family heirloom, it needs to kind of stay together. So that's the main thing. We're going to prettify it again, but we're going to make sure that we make it you know, nice and sturdy, which we, you know, we probably will have to make it over 500 times after this because we're learning as we go, and we'll probably mess up on something this round. That's okay. We'll work on it next round. That's what we do. We just keep doing it until we get it right. I'm redoing this little homeschool area. Everything was kind of just up in the wind, so we've been like just grabbing and pulling, and kids have been off for a couple of weeks. We do school year round, so the kids have been off for a couple of weeks. This upcoming week, we're jumping right back into it, so I needed everything to be organized and together and where I needed it to be so that we can just jump right in. If everything's planned out and together beforehand, it always runs so much smoother. So I'm getting all this figured out, getting all the bins set up and everything ready to go. We do ace paces, and those are paces, individual paces that you just pull. So I needed to have all that ready to go so that we could just pull it whenever we need it. This room was really overwhelming, so I did my orbiting method, and if you're not familiar with my orbiting method, I made it up one day on a whim, and I just started in one area of the room, and I just orbited around the entire outskirts of the room, and then I tackled the inside of the room. That's how I had to do it to keep myself on track and to keep my mind going where it needs to be going and not going off the side roads, you know, because my mind likes to take the little trails off the side road. I've got a vision, and I've got a road, and I'm on it, and then I see a squirrel, and I go chase that squirrel down a path. It's usually not a paved path either. It's not a planned path. It's not a paved, planned path. It's a path created by me in that moment. Everything, absolutely everything I'm taking out of this room is going to its home. So I'm not just moving things to another space. I'm known to do that. I'm bad to do that. We're not doing that with this because it's just going to create another problem in another area, and we don't need any problems in any areas right now when we're dead set on getting this place remodeled. So everything I'm taking out of the living room, I'm putting into another home. So the table happens to be going onto the porch here, and it's going to be an area where we can do homeschool outside, an area kids can do crafts, and it's good because it's outside. So, you know, it can make a mess outside, but it's a different kind of mess when it's outside versus when it's inside. I'm using my air fryer for the first time since we moved here, I think. I'm going to do the potato wedges that we used to do all the time, and manwedges for dinner tonight. That's what we're doing for dinner. Potato wedges in the air fryer and manwedges. So I had to take a little break off the second living room, but once we're done with dinner, then we can jump right back on it, daggone it. These tater wedges are so daggone good. Even Nanny asked me the other day how I made them because she forgot and she couldn't find the video that I made them in. And when Nanny asked me how I make something, I feel so honored because, like, I feel like there's nothing in this world I could teach Nanny to do. So when she asked me, I was like, Nanny, let me tell you. I was so excited to tell her. I literally just chop up in wedge style a bunch of potatoes, and I soak them in water just for a little bit and kind of rinse them off. And then I go in with seasonings, and I use olive oil to kind of keep those seasonings on the taters. So I coat it with olive oil, then go in with a bunch of pepper, paprika, salt. I use all sorts of kinds of seasonings, and I'll show you guys a pan and overview of which seasonings I use today. And they were seasoned. I didn't hold back. They were really seasoned. If anything, I'd probably take away the Goya seasoning because that stuff is potent, and I used that with salt, and that was, I don't even know what I was thinking. But they were really good. They were just really seasoned. So next time I'll either omit the salt or omit the Goya and do it that way. They're kind of like this really good Italian style wedge, and I put them in my air fryer for 20 minutes on 400, and I flip them halfway through, and that usually gives me crispy, nice wedges, unless I make them too big and then they're kind of raw, and I kind of give those to myself because I don't want to feed anybody else raw taters. So I usually get the raw ones, but I actually didn't have any raw ones in this batch, so I was pretty proud of that. I preheated the air fryer on 400, and then I placed them all in an even layer. That's very important when it comes to doing these, because if you pile them on top of each other, you're almost always going to have raw ones on the bottom. Trust me, ask me how I know. I'll tell you. I do it all the time. So I actually laid these out in a layer this time. Took time to make sure none of them were sitting on top of each other, and I think that was the secret to why I got all crispy wedges and no raw wedges. I did it in the basket here, but I have to do a double batch because there's so many of us. So I just put tinfoil on the top of the rack, the top rack you see there above the basket, and I put a thin layer on that as well, and that way I can cook more at the same time. I still have to do 2 or 3 rounds of this in the air fryer because, you know, I chopped up a lot of taters. There's a lot of us, and we usually have leftovers, so I did have to do like 3 rounds in total, but I did get a bunch in each round at a time, and that helped because I would have probably had to do 5 or 6 if I hadn't have done both the basket and the rack layers of taters. I almost never do the same seasonings on any of them, so sometimes I'll I'll do Parmesan cheese and a lot of Italian seasoning and just salt them. And they're like these Parmesan crispy wedges. Those are super good. Then sometimes I get a wild hair and I'm like, I'm just going to throw every seasoning in my cabinet on them. And that was a day like today. I just threw a little bit of everything on them. They kind of just, tasted garlicky, oniony, salty, peppery, buttery, because I had a garlic butter season that I put on it. They had all the taste on them. Like, it was like taste times 10,000, but they were still really good. You can't really go wrong, just depending on what kind. You could even put like taco seasoning on these, like not a whole lot, because that stuff is loaded with sodium and it's super salty, but you can do that if you wanted on fajita seasoning, stuff like that. These are the ones I use today. I really should have dusted off my air fryer because there's like an inch thick of dust on the top of it. I don't know what I was thinking. I still didn't dust it off. I saw it like 4 times and told myself I was going to dust it off. I just never got around to doing it. So I need to implement that method I've been doing where if I think to do it, I do it right then and there. My kiddos love like potato wedges, mashed taters, baked taters. They're always making them a baked tater for lunch. Like, almost every other day, I'll hear them pop in a potato in the microwave and making them a baked tater. But we all love these, and we love manwiches too. Manwiches, I don't care. Manwiches are underrated. Call it a lazy dinner. Call it what you want, but I'm going to call it good. I ain't never been sad when somebody's yelled, we're having manwiches for dinner. Like, never. Not even as a kid. I didn't even know Shane was doing this by himself, or I would have had a fit. And then I felt this shower curtain while I was digging around for deodorant on an extremely stinky day. I'd run out of deodorant. It was a whole thing. Y'all don't need to know that, though. I was just, know that I found this in my bathroom closet while I was digging around for deodorant. I was like, snap, I could use that as a tablecloth to prettify it, keep it prettified until we get around to fixing it up. I'm going to continue around the entire room until I get the entire perimeter done, and then I'll just tackle anything, which is usually just needing a little sweeping in the middle of the room, because I tried to put everything I find and come across on the outskirts of the room, around the perimeter. I try to put it in a home and not pile it in the middle of the room, because then it's just adding more work to me at the end, because then when I go through everything in the middle of the room, I just have to put that stuff up into its home. So to avoid doing that and to avoid getting it out right then and there, I just try to put everything I find where it needs to go as I go around the entire perimeter of the room. I want to thank you guys, though, for your really kind comments. I was hesitant to start posting day in the lifestyle content again. I used to do it all of the time, and I love doing it. It's one of my most favorite kinds of videos to do, because it just shows me trying to be productive throughout, my daily life, day-to-day life, and it helps keep me accountable, and I just enjoy sharing that part of my life with you guys. I used to do it all the time, and then I stopped for some reason, and I was hesitant to start again because I didn't know if people would like that, anymore. I know my original people did, because they were always there for it, but I have a lot of new people who didn't know my era where I did a lot of day in the lifestyle cleaning video, homemaking videos, things like that. So whenever I mentioned that those were my favorite kinds of videos to make a while back, I got so many comments and messages especially over on Instagram, saying, do the day in the lives, do those things. And I was like, are y'all sure? Like, what? Are y'all just like, are you just saying that? So I was like, you know what, I'll try it. And sure enough, YouTube doesn't push them like they push my other videos, but I mean, there's still so many people here, and I'm like, y'all, like, heck yes, I can do videos that I love. Like, I don't have to worry about people not liking it. And if they do, then, like, I try to have something for everybody. So if they don't like day and lifestyle contents, then I'll have a cleaning video coming soon, or I'll have a remodel video coming soon. I try to do those 3 different things. I try to do a lot of cleaning, I try to do a lot of homemaking, and then I try to do a lot of remodeling, and keep it in those 3 things on the channel, because I can kind of throw anything in there that I want to. I just like having those 3 little alleyways to go down when it comes to my channel. Scratch that, not my channel, our channel, mine and God's channel. I like having 3 alleyways to go down, so I can do either 3 of those genres of videos, and I really enjoy all 3 of them. But I really love the day in the life homemaking / cleaning / what I'm just doing that day as a mom, wife content. I really love filming that. And the fact that I can go so long without really doing day in the lifestyle content, here and there I do mobile home living videos every now and then, but I went so long without doing that. The fact that there's so many people still here for those videos, that's crazy to me. I don't understand the amount of love that y'all have for me and my family. I don't understand it, but golly gee, am I thankful for it. Like that, the fact that I have so much freedom on this channel to just film what I want to film. It makes me want to cry because y'all don't know. On the YouTuber side of things, I see so many channels where they feel like they're boxed into doing this one certain kind of video because that's the video where, you know, all the views come from, right? They do their other kinds of videos and there's not a lot of people show up for that. The fact that I can still have the freedom to do whatever sort of video I want to do, and there's still a huge amount of people here for that, that's wow. I really just want y'all to know you have healed the inner 11-year-old in me that sat at a daggone lunch table by herself. You've healed that version of me by being here for just the mundane stuff of my life and just being a friend. And I will never understand it. I will never understand. I will never be able to wrap my head around the amount of change that has happened in the last almost 4 years of my life. I'll never understand it, but golly, y'all, thank you. Alright, before we make our way over to the cabinets and I explain what's going on with that, let's talk about my plans for in here. So this is the second living room. When we originally moved here, I was going to make this the actual living room, and I was going to make the area that's our living room now the den. I didn't want to wait a whole year for a living area, so the den kind of turned into the living room area, and this is going to kind of turn into the den. I like that idea better because obviously we're not going to have two TVs because our double wide is open concept. So our TV is like literally right there. I can hear it from here. So I'm not about to put another TV on this wall or on that wall. So this is going to be a chill, sitting, reading, game board, family area right off of the kitchen. And I think that works really well. The double wide is still open concept, so while I'm in the kitchen, I can still see in there to the TV and the family room and into the den. So my vision for in here, think cozy, think chill, think peaceful. In my house, not so heavy on the peaceful. Kind of heavy on the chaotic, but it's a peaceful kind of chaotic. My home is peaceful in its own way, but it's not like the zen peaceful. Even that sounded like I was getting electrocuted, the zoom. So this is what I'm thinking for in here. I figured I would break this down because I've got a lot of questions about my future plans for the house. And while I'm about to tell you the cabinet situation that you guys saw me move around, might as well just tell you this situation too, because it's kind of part of the same room, kind of just a different side. So right here where these bookshelves are, these are just here for right now. These are not going to stay here, but there is going to be a built-in. We've also got to repaint because when we were staining the ceiling boards, kind of got a little crazy in here, but it's going to be a bookshelf built in. It's going to be lit up. It's going to have texture to it. It's going to have several areas for books. Not all my books are going in here because all my books, I have bright blue books, green books, lime green books, all the color books, and that just is not the vibe I'm going for in here. So only certain books will be on this bookshelf, but there's going to be books on this bookshelf, and it'll add some storage. I'm also going to do some things on the bottom of it. I've got it in my mind. I need to put it on paper. I've told Shane a little bit about it so he can start planning for it. But this area can feel dungeony. We don't have a light in here as of right now, so it kind of feels dungeony a little bit. So when we add that, it's going to add not only like a cozy feel, but it's going to add some extra lighting too. And then what I'm thinking is I'm thinking of massive chairs right here, like massive comfy chairs, cozy chairs, maybe two of them, one right here and one right here. Or that this is one way I'm thinking of it. A big cozy chair, and then an entryway sort of style thing on this wall over here. Because this wall is right directly when you walk into the front door, which we don't use the front door to walk into. But I thought about maybe doing a entry area right here sort of thing because I have a vent there, and that would be really hard for me to decorate anything else around because it kind of sticks out. like a sore thumb. So that's option one. Or option two would be big fluffy couch on this wall, L-shaped couch, and then the built-in on that wall. The only thing about the built-in on that wall is you won't see it from that side of the house, which is why I want to put it on this side, because you can see it from that side of the house. And I would have to build around that vent grate thing, and I just don't think that would look good. It would have to be kind of in the middle because the way that the door opens, it just kind of would look off. Thermostat thing is right there, so I'm thinking while the L-shaped couch would look really pretty there, I'm thinking that's going to be the wall that the built-in's on. And this is subject to change, y'all know. It's subject to change, but don't be surprised if you do here soon see me start working on a built-in on this wall in this room. I've also got to find the perfect chairs. So if you guys have any ideas on big, I mean massive, 2 of me big. That's how big we're thinking, 2 of me big. If y'all have any ideas about chairs like that, let me know. Been on the Wayfair, I've been on the Amazon, I've been on the Ashley, and I haven't found anything that I really like or that I see, or that's anything like what I see in my head yet, so I'm still looking for that. Now onto this. We're gonna do a 10-foot long island. And it's not gonna be a standard island because a standard island has to have electrical hookup. So we're not doing that. We're doing a kitchen table that is designed to look like an island. So it's gonna be a big eat-at island. It's gonna have chairs around it and everything. And it's gonna be a kitchen table, but it's gonna have storage underneath the kitchen table. It's gonna be movable, but we ain't gonna move it. It's gonna be in one area like an island. So because I'm adding all new cabinets onto this side over here to the side that the stove is on, I'm not gonna need countertop to work on. I'm gonna have plenty of work on space. The kitchen island is just gonna be extra space. So it's gonna be an island / kitchen table. It's actually gonna be movable. It is so big though that we won't be able to move it any other way, but it will give us an extra surface to work on if we need it, and it'll give us a place to eat at. This will probably be the next renovation that y'all see. Be on the lookout for it in the next week or 2, I'd say, but this will probably be the next renovation you see. I'm doing a whole thing with it. I'm doing a whole thing with the countertop with it. I got a quote for countertop from one of the big box stores, and it was $5,000, over $5,000 for a 10-foot long, 5-foot wide piece of countertop, the kind of countertop that I was wanting. And I ain't doing that. So we're gonna go on an adventure and we're gonna do the daggone thing ourselves like we used to. If I couldn't afford to do something, I would find a cheaper way to do it. And that's what I'm finding myself having to do in this kitchen when I'm planning it all out. The kitchen is really expensive. It's put me back in 2021 era, Fearfully Created, and we're doing things, we're doing quality things, but we're doing it on a budget in a way that I can afford it because I'm not going into debt for countertop. So picture that 10-foot by 5-foot big old island, smack dab in the middle of the kitchen. It's gonna really be open concept because the seating area is gonna be on the opposite side of it. And then this right here is gonna be changed. So right now that's our pantry and it's right up against the fridge there. This is gonna be completely changed coming up soon. I found the Four Winds book I was telling y'all about. This is the book set in the Great Depression I was talking about at the beginning of this video. You have to read it. If you like reading, you gotta read it. It's The Four Winds by Kristen Hannah. This is the one I'm reading right now. I got a paperback and a hardback version of this one. I'm reading paperback because I like reading paperback better, but this is the one I'm reading now. And these are the 2 that I plan on reading next. True Colors and Magic Hour. I don't know what they're about, but they're by her, so I'm gonna give them a shot. I got like my May calendar in the background. Thank y'all for hanging out with me. I hope y'all have a blessed morning or not, whatever it is, wherever you're at. Know that I love you, but Jesus loves you so much more. I will see y'all later.